go.
4 for 4.
Tonight on Jabber Jawn 44. We have 4 on the floor with a show so grand we could barely get it in the studio door. We're going to need your help with this one. It's the one your parents used to talk about while driving on vacation in the Florida Keys. The one you heard about from your cousin who lived in one of the Dakotas. This is the one that you would see written up in Parade magazine when the subject was the future. What will we do when we get there? We hope you can all join us tonight as we usher in episode 44 with a nod of our heads and a quick glance at the clock. As you may remember from a week ago, we had to postpone the episode basically because we just didn't know how to deal with it. How do you speak to the prettiest girl? How do you place your full week's wages on a longshot horse? How do you explain a box truck full of vibrating objects and blinking lights? We suggest you arm yourself with a pencil and sheaf of tracing paper so you can place the tracing paper against your screen and try and capture the image of episode 44 with your graphite sketching instrument. Please join us! This may be the episode you brag about seeing at your 3rd or 4th wedding when they ask you what's the one thing you've seen that you just can't explain. Episode 44. Join us!
Three little frogs sitting on a log, one of them fell in. One frog said to the other frog, well, you better go get him. Two little frogs sitting on a log, one of them fell in. Last little frog, he sat and thought, good thing they can swim. Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn. Three little frogs sitting on a log, one burst into a grin. One frog said to the other frog, wonder what's got into him. Two little frogs sitting on a log, one laughed until he is red. Last little frog, he sat and thought, must have been something I said. Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn.
In the backyard.
It seemed to work.
Oh man, we are live, folks. Hello, hello, hello. I'm Nathan Moore. This is Kyle Hogg. This is Steve Moore. We are Jabber Jawn at your service. Welcome to the show. Good to see everybody out there. Tell your ma, tell your pa, come on over. Our love is going to grow wall to wall. And I'm just reading this book here called Blah Blah. This is, where did this come from?
I gave it to him.
Where'd you find it?
I found it in a used bookstore.
Oh, really?
It was just, it was just a little thing I picked up. And I had it laying around.
Have you had it for years, or was it recently?
I've had it for several years, and I saw it the other day, and I thought of Kyle. And I don't know why, but that's what happened. So I threw it in the bag and gave it to him, and then we pulled it out here, and I gave it to him, but then he said we ought to keep it here
because you just never know when it'll come in handy.
As it just did.
Did you find it?
It's basically 600 incredibly useless facts.
That's what attracted me, and it's what reminded me of Kyle.
Who doesn't like that?
No, it didn't sound right. That's not what I meant at all. It's just a different way of looking at things. That's what I meant to say.
I feel like there's a special term for books like this that designates them to the bathroom.
Yep. Well,
is there a term for that?
Well, no bathroom? Plot.
Right.
Shitters.
Is that what you call them?
I'm going to the store to look for a couple of shitters.
What do you call them?
Shitters.
Well, there you go.
All I know is that every time I go to the bathroom these days, I come out knowing a little bit more about Django Reinhardt. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Kethra stops me and asks me what tidbit I learned that time. Fascinating guy. And that Saul and Christiana gave me this great book about. I showed y'all the book. I think I had it down here on one of the shows. But it's perfect bathroom reading. Just go in, become part of a gypsy caravan for a few minutes, proceed on about my day.
Kyle, where are you going? I'm just going to be part of a gypsy caravan for a few minutes. I'll be back.
I'll be right back. You come out with toilet paper wrapped around your neck, tucked into your shirt. I know we've talked about this before, but I'm just so struck that, like, in every photo in this book, this is like in the 30s and stuff, everyone, gypsies, everyone in every picture is dressed up. Yeah. Everybody looked good back in the day. It seemed like back in like the 20s, 30s, 40s, like the poorer you were, the more important it was for you to dress up. Like everybody had a suit on. I don't care where you were in the world. It seemed like it was all around the world. People were just dressed up.
Right. I guess it wasn't like, it was like the 50s where it became sort of cool to look undressed up.
That's like rock and roll,
jeans,
like
and a t-shirt,
rebelling against all that.
Yeah, but that would be late 50s.
Yeah.
Early, regular 50s had their own fashion style.
Right.
And we wouldn't think it was that attractive, but that's what that was attractive then.
Right.
But a fascinating thing I've observed is that even the people that then rebelled against the dress code of civilization adopted a new dress code for their little clique. Like even if you were punk, you had to signify you were punk by wearing the right clothes.
Well, yeah,
which is fascinating.
Every culture does that.
Isn't that interesting? Like
and
even
of course,
James Dean and all the greasers.
There's the big rebellion against all of that, and that's when you get sloppier and sloppier. So then you get judged by how sloppy you are and how much you don't care.
Right.
Tells everybody how much you care about not caring.
It's important to quantify that. How much don't you care? I mean, just look at me.
They wouldn't be caught dead with a tie on. Let's put it that way.
Right. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
And growing your hair long or any of those kinds
it's all
of things.
rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed by like big fashion shows where I've never seen anybody wearing those clothes ever. Like, you know, when they have Dior or something, and all these people walk out in these weird triangle dresses and stuff like.
Oh, right.
Then what is it for? Just to show what you can make? I've never seen anybody wear a dress like that.
I guess it's just like an art show.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's like a little parade.
But it still happens to this day. You're just like, and this week on the fashion walk or whatever, and you're just like, oh my God, no one's ever wearing that anywhere. Furnace Mountain Band, welcome to the show. Good to see you. Yeah. They say love the beard. I was thinking about dyeing it. You ever dyed your beard?
Never.
Never dyed your beard.
I spent years discussing.
Is that for the beard? That was a huge ovation.
It's
like nice a standing O.
Nice full beard.
What color are you going? Like red?
No, just if I dyed it, it would just be to make it look like it's not gray.
Oh, can't you buy those little brushes?
I got it in the bathroom, but it's been there for 2 years. So.
But I
bought it on spontaneous, just spontaneously. Is that what's the word I'm looking for? Spontaneously. I feel like that's not.
How do you feel about? Does it take a commitment to do that? And in other words, once you do it, I think if you're going to do it, you need to make the decision to keep doing it
forever,
for as long as as it matters.
Right.
For as long as it matters. But you know, once you stop, you stop. But if you're going to do it, to do it, not do it, and do it, you know, in other words, if you go that way, people will get over it. But if you keep going back and forth, I think that's where you want to stay away.
Right.
So I think that's one of the things. It's not just doing it one time, because you're revealing yourself and as saying, I want to look like this, and I know I don't look like this.
Right.
To those people that already know you.
But don't they make it now where it's sort of gradual, so people just get used to you going dark?
See, you don't even know the
Yeah,
technology's come a long
Yeah,
ways.
I think you code in like just over like a month or two, then you're like fully blonde again, and people are like, "No, you remember when Nathan had gray? No, you must be mistaken."
Yeah.
Gaslighting the world. Just like,
Nobody will know.
That's like the
you know what? I'll be right back.
that's like the Friends episode where they ask if what's his face has a mustache, and the people at the office are like, "Does he or doesn't he have a mustache?" And they don't show him for a while. And I remember watching it. You can't really remember if somebody like how people even look if you're not looking right at them. You know?
As long as you can have a seed of doubt, you can
Right.
plant that seed of doubt. So, yeah, in other words, yeah, people will get over it. But you don't want to flip-flop.
Right.
That's my perspective. I might be wrong. It might be okay just to do it whenever you want
I
to.
don't think it wouldn't be like flip-floppy because it would be gradual no matter what, I feel like.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it. I was thinking you were going to go upstairs and come down.
Well, no,
Full-
the initial thing would be stark.
Okay. So,
Right. The initial dying.
Yeah.
But then it would like slowly fade or grow out or whatever. It wouldn't go back to gray as
And you might mature yourself
right.
to the point where you could accept how you really look.
But
That would be interesting.
That would be
but also somebody just told me this 2 weeks ago. When I was younger, I used to dye my hair all the time. So when I got laid off, I was unemployed. I went and bought some hair dye, and I was like, I'm just gonna dye my hair blonde. Nobody, it doesn't really matter.
blonde. When was
Yeah.
this?
I've been working now for 2 years, so it was like 3 years ago.
3 years
but
ago.
when I was younger, I would dye it all the time, just
Right.
whatever.
Yeah,
So
I did that too.
So I was like, look, I'm unemployed. I'm just gonna dye my hair. But then I bought it, and like the next week I got hired for this job. So it's been sitting there like 2.5 years. So when I shaved my head real close, I thought I should just use that dye and just, because it'll grow out and I'll just shave it. And somebody said, well, why are you gonna do that? So I've already got the dye. And they're like, how old is it? I said 2 years. Like, don't use any dye. It's 2 years old. It'll make you completely bald. So
Oh,
if you're
man.
gonna do it, don't use that
Don't
2
use.
year old.
Don't. Oh man, I'm glad I heard.
I don't know if that's true. That's what they warned me about.
Huh. I can't think of any reason they'd lie about a thing like that.
So you're in there combing it, trying to get the color out, and you wake up, you're just totally clean shaven. What? No. You should both dye them. It doesn't look like me here, these two young gentlemen sitting here, their jet black beards.
It was really strange when my beard turned gray. It felt like it was dyed in my sleep. It just happened suddenly. It wasn't a gradual thing, as far as I can recall.
It's really interesting how it's like there's two different message systems. Your beard and your head
Right.
hair are two different departments in your brain cover that.
Right.
And it's interesting. Your beard will behave differently. My beard when it first came in had red in it, which is the only thing.
You mean when you were young?
Yeah, when I first
oh.
started growing a beard
So
when I
your
was
beard
really
was a
young.
different color than your head.
Yeah, I never had, and I used to joke that I was prejudiced against redheaded people till I had a beard and it came in red, and that confused me.
That explains Daniel a little bit
But
more.
it did explain, but it explained Daniel more. Yeah, I did think of that, but yeah.
Why does hair go gray?
You're just not building the proteins and the chemicals enough to support building that the coloring agent, whatever the chemical is. You're just not making enough of it. Your body's probably just saying we need help somewhere else.
That's a
Now,
little sad, right?
we don't need
It
it.
is a sign that your body is slowing down. I just
Exactly.
can't make that color. You're just gonna have to.
Yeah, exactly. Y'all can do without. We had to cut some costs.
Some
and,
people got
Now-
fired inside me.
yeah.
Now, is that a natural thing, or like would diet? Like if you say you had like a protein-rich diet, would that fix it, or that's just a natural?
I think it's a
body
natural
thing?
thing with aging. I mean, and the reason the first thing I thought when you said natural was when I used to hunt squirrels. You could really tell an old squirrel, especially with the fox squirrels. Fox squirrels had that red color to them, reddish brown, and but the old ones were gray. You could see
Oh, wow.
some of them had white on their tails, and you could just tell they were older squirrels.
Oh wow.
So, and of course, you can tell old people. One of the things you can tell is that usually they have white hair. They've lost their color completely, and that's all white
Oh,
hair.
the white hair. That's
Yeah.
a whole nother level
Yeah, well, that's where you're not making any of the color at all.
at all. Right.
There's some great chat if you want.
Oh, there's great chat.
Here we
Oh, I
go.
love it.
Are we tapping into
Welcome to the show,
gray-haired
everybody.
crowd?
John Dotson, good to see you.
Oh, John.
Oh, by the way,
John.
I don't think you were watching when we talked about your Facebook post a week or so ago. I can't remember which show that was.
No, they're all a blur.
He says balding is a sign of sexual maturity in apes.
And apes.
Boy, that's a cruel god.
If you need it, use it. That's what I
So,
tell you that statistic.
so all you bald men out there, you're basically just an ape.
Virile. I mean, I guess we have a little bit of that. Like we definitely consider some bald-headed men to be very sexy.
We were just talking about Telly Savalas
Patrick
a couple of weeks
Patrick
ago.
Stewart. I feel like there is some virility.
Patrick Stewart from Star Trek?
Yeah,
You consider him sexy?
I think he was a sex symbol.
Oh, man. For the outer space crowd.
For the what?
Outer space crowd.
Right. Is that the right sound?
Maybe this is it.
Yeah. See, the moment I said Patrick Stewart, the audience was scrambling for the right sound effect. We need a little. I don't know. What's the sound of arousal? Do we have that? You have that over there? That's it. John Huggins, good to see you.
Hey, John.
Arousal?
He says mine is. He says his is totally white now.
And
Good
how-
on you, John.
How old is he?
You've arrived.
Is he in his 30s? How old is he?
He's like 26.
And I've been struck by lightning 3 times.
Your beard's coming in pretty good.
Yeah, but mine's coming in all gray, too.
Is that a new phenomenon for you?
The gray?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's usually why I shave it, because I can't figure out why I look like an ape on the top and a chimp on the bottom. I'm not sure what's going on.
I wonder if there's like, back to your protein question, is there anything I could do where like if I shaved and then started going to the Y or something, my next beard would not be gray?
I doubt it. I can't say that for sure. There might be some way of that reversing itself, but I think we're more like talking about gravity here.
Right.
Yeah, it's just you can fight against it in some ways, and but
I bet there's a pill for it on the market.
there might be.
An internal
Yeah, but you're
competing
definitely
with time.
the natural processes I've observed is for us and just about every other living organism to get old and die if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, you die young.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see
Now-
too many exceptions to that if you're calling yourself alive. So I think a lot of us like to think we're more than that, but what we are is alive, and that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Now, you were talking how the birds, you say, like, they know how to build their nest, they know how to do. You think that's hereditary, too? Like, aren't our beards and our baldness and everything, isn't that tied in?
Oh, that's all hereditary. Yeah, that's all genetic.
So that's
I
our
mean, but there are mutations. That's the other thing about when I said that, that was incorrect, because within anything there are changes. And so the small changes produce one thing and or nothing, and usually they don't. But some changes are going to be passed on, and that's where you get your evolution, changing the species. But it happens one mutation at a time. You get something when you say cancer causing, what you're really saying is it's whatever that chemical is, it's causing a lot of mutations in your cell chemistry. And every time you have a mutation, every time you have a change, you risk producing a cell that grows abnormally, and we call that cancer.
And then it reproduces.
That's what's wrong with it. It's just like you. It's like the rest of you, except that its broken reproductive system is reproducing itself way ahead of schedule. So it outgrows everything else, literally just outgrows everything, and ends up parasitizing its host, which is where you live. It's you.
Well, that's like having diabetes. Since forever, they've always asked me, who else in your family is a diabetic? And I'm like, nobody that I know of. Well, it's got to be somebody. You don't just get it out of nowhere. I'm like, well, if they had it, they never told me about it.
Yeah, and that's where you get the mutational thing. Yeah, where in your family it's a regressive trait, but if you get enough of those together, then something comes in from the side. You could end up with every so often. But there's also, usually on a smaller scale than probably diabetes, but it's also a genetic mutation where just an individual cell could not have the right combination of things to fight, to produce. You just have an imbalance in your insulin. And,
right.
It's just a biochemical process that is out of whack. And
But so does that, if I'd had children, does that mean that I would probably pass that along, or it doesn't?
it may or may not. It depends on why you have it. It might not be a genetic thing. It might be something that happened to you, or just, a biochemical accident, but it's not going to be passed on.
Right.
Could be if it's something you did in your past life.
That's right.
Yeah. Too many of those cardboard pizzas. Do it every time.
So in line with the holiday week, what?
That's be my excuse for everything now. Why are you late, Kyle? Oh my God, too many of those cardboard pizzas.
What is a cardboard pizza?
I just assumed it means one of those ones
I
you
just
buy at
made
the
it
store.
up. I think it's a real thing.
I thought he meant one of those ones you buy at the supermarket you throw in the microwave.
Totinos.
No, too many Totinos last night.
Totinos are good.
I've been trying to find one of those little frozen, because every night I'm watching the ball games, they go to commercials and they show Pizza Hut, different slices of pepperoni pizza, and I want one. But then when I get them, they all taste like the cardboard they came in. So I just call them cardboard pizza. That's all. I haven't.
That's a great term. Have y'all been to that pizza place in Waynesboro, downtown of Waynesboro, where the pizza's like that big?
No.
Oh my God, it's such good pizza.
I like the floppy.
Well, this is like greasy, good. Oh, it's but the pizzas come out like when we had it at work one time. The box, I had a picture of it. The box is like bigger than this chair almost.
Wow. What's it called?
God, I can't. It's right on the main street downtown Waynesboro. It's like a chain now, I think, or people can buy different. I shouldn't even mention it since I can't think of the name of it, but it's way better than cardboard pizza.
Before we get too far away from it, I had one last question about gray hair, and it sort of lines up with the holiday week that we're in. But is it true that somebody could get so scared
Ooh, good question.
that their hair turns white? Have you ever heard of that?
I have heard of that. And it's all, it's a biochemical thing. So something affected you so much that wires got unhooked. You unplugged your system. When you plugged it back in, some of the things weren't working the same. Some of them shut down and didn't start back up possibly.
I guess you do see people that have
Yeah.
been through trauma that come out the other side, and with gray hairs, and Obama for being
Oh, yeah.
president. Like a lot of presidents seem to go in without any gray hair and come out with quite a few.
Yeah, definitely.
Just
Definitely.
which is fascinating because
Yeah.
it just means you're so depleted. You've put so much energy into something else that your body
Exactly.
fires a few employees in
Yeah,
there.
it's an indicator.
Yeah, 'cause like you said, well, what that was, but you also hear like how stressed people, like the presidents come out looking, they've been there for 4 years. It looks like they've been there for like 20 years. Their faces are older looking, their hairs,
But the interesting thing about it, if you want to really talk about it, is the way you can portray gray hair for a man is, and I can, if a woman was here, she would give me a really good argument of why it's not the same. But for a man, the gray hair up to a certain point is very distinguishing. You kind of look more like like more together, or more gentlemanly, or
Right.
more successful, or something, if you handle it right. Whereas, that's not true with most things when you lose it. So that's an interesting. I don't know if it's important, but it's curious.
I think it'd be very attractive on a woman too.
Well, it can be, and gray hair on a woman can be very attractive. I
And
agree with that.
it also has a distinguished air.
Yep.
If when done right, it's like
I agree. Yeah, that's true. So maybe I was wrong in thinking that was a sexist cultural thing.
Well, no,
Yeah,
'cause I've had friends, women friends, that say, "Oh, a man with a little bit of gray looks good," but then they're like, "Oh, if I have gray, I'm going to dye it out instantly." They don't want to. I don't want to look like a distinguished man walking around here.
But I think a whole lot of what we're really talking about, which is interesting, just to look at it from that point of view, is your self-perception, how you perceive yourself. When I got gray hair, I felt like I'd earned them,
right.
and I was okay with it. That's who I am. I'm a little older. I've paid some dues. Okay, so let's move on. But I didn't care about what my beard looked like in terms of the color, because that's what I was.
Sort of romanticized being an old man since I was a little boy.
Yeah.
Anyways, so to a certain extent, it's like, all right, finally.
But it also broaches the question of why would you even consider you're doing what you were talking about doing.
Right.
Dying. Why would you die? Why would you do that?
Well, I guess the same reason. I mean, it'd be more fun to do it blue or something, because then you could just be like, I'm just having fun. I'm just playing. This is
Don't judge me.
But to dye it your natural color or whatever becomes more complicated.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about blue when we started this discussion. You kind of threw that in, like, what do you call that, a red herring?
Yeah, red herring.
The red herring.
Yeah.
The northern red herring.
But you could do it your natural color for the same playful reasons. Like, it wouldn't have to be about compensating for an insecurity or something like that. You could just be like, I'm just going to do it and see.
Of course,
see what happens.
of course, you definitely can be doing that. But what I was saying is you need to address that at least to yourself. But why are you doing it?
I could definitely see getting addicted to it after I did it. Being like,
not wanting to go back.
yeah.
Now, can you see yourself shaving it all off anytime?
Yeah, I used to go back and forth a lot. It's been a while. I've developed a few chins. I don't necessarily ever want to see again. But I'm actually just assuming that's true. That might not even be the case. They might have gone away. I don't know.
It's true.
I have to go in there and find out. I'll be right back.
That'd be a good show.
First I dye it, and then I come back, and then I go and shave it all off.
Now, if you're clean shaven, are you one of those guys that gets up? And I don't even know if any guy does this anymore. Like my dad got up every single day and shaved every single day. That was just like part of waking up. He shaved. Do guys still do that?
Some do. Some probably have to.
Oh yeah, a lot of people do.
Man.
It's not like the old days where you have to make a little thing and then get your straight razor with exactly the leather strap with the straight razor. Now we're just like.
I'm trying to think of who I know. I guess I do know guys that have just totally baby face. Yeah, I guess I do.
Yeah, you got to keep that up.
They got the electrics that make it really easy to do that.
Yeah, the new electric razors have come a long ways for sure. But it is true that one of the reasons a lot of us have beards is because we're averse to daily routines. With this, you don't have to do
Right.
anything really. You can but if you're a clean shaven thing, after you get that, after a few days, you start looking like you're at an impasse of something.
Now,
You're either letting yourself go or you're becoming this new thing. You're in this limbo area where people are right to wonder about you.
Now, do you use like shampoo or soap or like oil after you get out of the shower? Or do you take care of it at all, or what do you do?
What, back when I shaved?
No, like for your beard, do you wash it with shampoo or just
Willie
soap?
T.
or-
Taylor gave me some beard oil. It's over there by the Hollywood Mirror.
So you use it a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
Because my oldest nephew has a hipster beard now, and he's got that oil and stuff.
He's
he puts
used the
in it.
oil. I never used a product.
Yeah.
You ever used a beard product?
No.
So you just wash your face, and that gets a. Do beards get greasy like hair does?
Not as bad. It's just the food crumbs and
Yeah, it does get food in
the
it.
birds picking at it, and that kind of messes with your shoulder sometimes. But other than that, it's not that
Oh,
bad.
I got something in there right now.
Guys, a magician, you could probably do all kinds of cool stuff with a beard.
Right, hide birds in it.
No, this totally changes the subject. But I was like flipping through my phone last night, and it's this picture of 6 cards, and it said pick a card. I mean, you're just looking at it, pick a card, and then it said that card hit next, and that card will disappear. And it was right. How does it?
Isn't that amazing?
Is it because it just knows what you're gonna pick?
You want me to tell you the answer to that one?
Yeah.
My,
Come back after
Send the
this
kids
commercial.
out of the room. We have breaking news. We are about to divulge the secret to an age-old magic question here on Jabber Jawn. I don't know. Am I allowed to do that?
I don't think so.
Is it so? But is it just because they know where people pick, or? I mean, it was one shot. They had to get it right, and they got it right.
Okay, I think we should talk about this after the show.
Oh, yeah?
No, I want to
Legal
know.
things can happen.
No,
That's
tell
true. I
us.
could get kicked out of the union.
Our rating will probably shoot to the moon once you tell a secret.
No, no,
It's just
we're
a-
not
it's an
going to make
internet
it that
secret.
way. That's desperate. That's wrong.
You can't let the internet beat you.
What does
Oh,
that mean?
A sharp?
So I want to. I mean, how does it work? Is it just because they know most people will go to the bottom right-hand corner, or is it just?
How about
plain-
this? Everybody can guess, and this is like a deep throat in the parking lot. I can just say yes or no. I can't.
I don't know enough about. Yes, go ahead.
It's the classic reporter. Like, all right, if I drink my coffee, that means you're right. If I drink the water, that means you're not right.
Okay.
That way, I'm not divulging a secret. This is the loopholes that we've come
Okay.
up with over
Okay.
the years. There's ways. There's ways.
So what's the answer to it?
Do you have a guess?
No.
I mean,
So you have 6 cards. You pick one of them and just think about it. And then the next page, that card has been removed. There's 5 cards, and the one you were thinking of is not there anymore.
and
how
I
did
mean,
they do it?
And I was sitting there looking at it
We can
thinking,
include the chats here.
I was sitting there looking at it thinking, which one do they think I'm going to pick? And then I said, no, I'm going to go. And it was the bottom right-hand corner. And then I just hit the button and it was gone. I was like, how in the world do they know that? It has to be where the brain thinks is the least. It's got to be something based on like genetics or habits.
You didn't
or
punch
something.
anything. You just looked at
Yeah,
it.
it says pick a card and then
just think about it.
and then just touch the button so it'll go to the next screen, and that card you picked will be gone, and that card was gone.
I didn't.
It was nobody with the hands, palm on a card or anything like that.
Heather says, Nathan, you look 10 years younger when you shave. I've always been so jealous that you have that option. It also works inversely. I look 10 years older when I grow a beard.
There you go.
I remember like when I first really grew a beard,
So you never look your real age.
like I didn't have a beard much at all for most of my life. Like, but then one year I was like, I'm going to do it. And I grew out a big beard, and this is in my 30s or something. And I went on tour, and I remember there being a palpable difference in the way audiences that didn't know me reacted to me. They took me more seriously. Like I sold more CDs. Like I don't know. There was just, it was palpable that
Isn't
people
that
are
interesting?
people, which is, it is interesting.
I like that.
there-
Think about that.
Look at these old folks that are up there.
Yeah, it's like
This old singer-songwriter up there, he's been doing this for hundreds of years.
when you climb to the top of the mountain to ask the old man a question, you want him to have a beard. You don't want some like Peter Pan sitting up there going, what do you want?
It'd be okay if it was George Clooney.
Right.
He could pull it off, but not many people can.
Well, don't
Actually, I just read a George Clooney fact in Blah Blah when we were opening the show that his first role was a minor role in Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Oh my goodness.
Another Halloween.
Well, don't let
themed
these women
tidbit.
compliment you, get you off the subject of magic.
All right. Well, I was giving the chat a chance to guess
Okay.
too.
Anybody have a guess, or does anybody work for the internet and know how it works?
No,
Josh's guess is eye motion tracking.
Wow, that's scary.
Oh, it uses your laptop camera to see where your eyes are looking. That's a
No,
great guess.
That is a good guess, but
That is how it will be done in the future.
I hope that's not right.
AI magic.
I'm gonna tell Kyle the answer to this riddle.
It's
just
got
so you know. Just
it's got to
stay-
be
stay
that
where you are.
they must ask 1,000,000 people that question and they see like which ones pick the most. It's like a game of percentages. It has to be, isn't it?
I will say.
Do it right now with one of them. Like, is it something? That,
Well, that's usually an online thing, but there is a version you can do with a pack of cards, but it's a whole thing.
The worst
I
thing
will
about
say that for most people, from I'd say like 80 to 90% of magic tricks, maybe 100% to non-magicians, it's always disappointing
to know the answer.
to know the answer. As a magician, I don't feel that way. To me, the cleverness of the illusion is the art.
I get
But
that.
most people don't really get to operate in those realms.
Oh,
so
I just figured it out.
you did.
I bet you all the cards in the second one are different cards. I just thought of that.
What is it?
So you're looking at 1 through 6. You picked card 6. When you
Ding,
go
ding.
back, they've got 7, 8, 9, 10. You're just looking for your card. You're not even noticing what the cards you didn't pick were. So of course your card's not there, because even if they had 6 cards, your card wouldn't be there.
The next page is all different cards.
Oh man, I wonder why that just came to me.
Right? You got it. You did it.
That's great. That's wonderful.
It is wonderful.
I would have thought for weeks and it just got
God, why
stuck.
did that just come to me? Yeah, that's exactly what. Now, man, I can't remember what the cards were, but I bet I was just looking for that one card, and of course it wasn't there.
But because they control your focus, like just look at one of these cards and just keep it in your mind. Keep it in your mind. And all that, keep it in your mind. Think about this one card is preventing you from looking at the others too closely. So when it comes to the next page, they're all different cards. But you're so focused on your one, you're like, oh, mine's gone.
Gosh.
And it's brilliant.
Yep.
Now, if you're going to try it with a deck, if you want to try this on your kids or somebody out there with a deck of cards, it's sort of difficult, but very doable. That you have to do a little packet switch at some point. You distract them. So you put down the 6, 7 cards or whatever, tell them to think of one, pick them up, make eye contact with them, talk. Now just think about your card, and while you're talking to them, you've swapped the pack for 6 new cards, and then you just lay down 6 cards. The one they're thinking of is no longer there. It's a miracle.
God, but that's scary how easily I was. I mean, I thought about it not all last night, but a long time last night. I don't. Something you must have said something about. I don't know what you said, but
That's interesting. I like that whole discussion.
It is.
gosh, I can go home happy tonight.
So, and now most people would hear that as if you're not a magician, you're just like, oh, that's, ugh. You know, you just sort of roll your eyes.
Oh,
As a
yeah.
magician, you're like, brilliant,
Yeah,
yeah.
bravo, well played.
exactly. I hear that. I like that.
It's the result, not the steps taken to get there.
It's the illusion.
It's the illusion.
It's all in the illusion.
I mean, I kept thinking it must be like a game of like, you know, they must know that everybody tries to, you know, nobody's going to pick this card. Even actually, that's what everybody picks. Wow. So probably a lot of things that happen to us in life are like that. You know, just you get convinced to focus on one thing while somebody's doing something totally different. You don't even notice that they did something you didn't want them to do because you were worried about the one thing you were focusing on.
Right. That's you know, a great part of what a magician learns how to do is to control people's focus.
Oh, yeah.
They decide what you're looking at, what you're thinking about. And in fact, a really great magician is so many steps ahead of you that you can fight them all you want to focus where they don't want you to focus, and they're controlling where you're focused. Because they can see it in your eyes, like,
Right.
oh, this guy's all over my left hand,
Right.
or whatever. So, a magician will change his whole tactic mid stride because they're reading how you're trying to to not be controlled by them. They have to stay a few steps ahead of you the whole time. It's fascinating stuff.
It is.
There's an idiom in magic, or many in this regard, but one of them is the large move covers the small.
Oh, yeah. Look over here.
Right. So there's a little thing going on. The large move covers the small. But you can use that in so many different ways.
Well, it's like pickpockets or something that bump into you, so you're worried about that while they just gently take your wallet out of your back pocket.
Yeah. Pickpocketing's part of the craft of sleight of hand
Right.
to a certain extent. There's a lot of interesting crossovers back in the day with all the nomadic cultures and stuff like that. The
Yeah.
fortune tellers and magicians and pickpockets were all sort of the same dude a lot of times. It's the same skill set.
And that's like a lot of books you read set in that time period. They would just like the one pickpocket would have like these kids that worked for him, and he would just teach them all like the skills and the tricks of pickpocketing and stuff. Man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, bend down. Oh, I found these flowers. Are they yours? No. And then they take your purse while you're looking over there
Right.
or something. Wow.
Did we talk about this recently, or on the show, or we talk about it off the show? Do you remember when a police officer came to your house, our house out in Swope, to give a presentation on the ruses of gypsies?
Wow. You sure that wasn't a gypsy himself and he robbed you while he was out there?
Probably
Let me into your house. I'm
do
going to tell
you
you.
remember that? It was like a neighborhood watch.
It's a
out in
neighborhood
the county,
watch thing.
and a police officer stood on your back porch and gave us all a presentation about different ruses the gypsies would use.
Wow.
I don't remember that.
You don't?
I vaguely remember having the gathering there, but I don't. And I remember I don't remember him speaking that. I don't remember that lecture. I don't remember that night.
I remember one of the vivid examples was like a woman will come to your house saying that she needs to use the phone, and she'll come in and pretend to make a phone call. Meanwhile, the child hidden under her dress sneaks out of her dress and will rob the house and then go back under her dress.
Wow.
And they leave together. That was one of the examples he gave.
Wow.
I just think it's so funny that in my lifetime
And
I
you
was
and
a part
Catherine
of
do that
that.
now.
Yep. Yeah, we tried it once, but they could see me from the moment she walked in. It's like, who's the guy under your dress?
Who's the guy?
That's my husband.
I don't know. He,
Who's the guy on his knees
Never
reaching
mind.
for shit all over the counters? I've got some candy bars, Catherine, shuffle out of here.
It's like the Thing in the Addams Family. Just hands reaching up, grabbing chocolate.
She's got 2 feet dragging behind her when she walks out of here. No, look over there. What? Someone say fire.
oh my goodness.
You know, Josh says you get a wider demographic with a beard with narrow blind spots. A wider demographic.
Wider demographic. I
It's
think
interesting
that's-
that would be true, but it makes sense.
It does make sense.
Now, do you think beard fashion goes in and out? Like there's times when there's less beards and times when there's more beards?
Oh yes, yeah. But now we're into full beards.
Like in the 50s, did people have beards back then? Or
Did
the
Granddad ever
60s?
have a beard?
Never.
Never had a beard. He was a leather strap, straight razor,
Yeah, he was
daily routine
every morning,
guy.
every evening probably. He could have had a beard. I never saw him with a beard or a mustache.
That's interesting.
Just wasn't his persona.
God, just think back then. People didn't even wear like jeans or something. You see pictures of like fathers in the 50s or whatever. They're out there throwing baseball with their son with like big old hiked up pants and a button down shirt. Hey, let's have some fun.
There you go. That's a good observation right there. Like, what is the story with the waistline? Like, where was Granddad's waist? Like, were people belting up in the middle of the stomach?
I think they were.
Is that what's going on with?
But I mean, pants had to be made.
I can't
different
imagine.
back
I
then.
can't imagine that. This is your waist.
If you just think of the sitcoms back then,
Oh, yeah.
and you get that visual image of
Yeah,
Life of Riley, that it's right there.
The belt is on the belly.
The belt is on the belly
Yeah.
button,
I just
It's
can't
right
even
there.
conceive of it.
and you're going to absorb that. That's how you wouldn't even think of having that belly come over the top. It's got a
But,
It's so
but
weird.
pants must have been like made like much different then. They had to have all that extra. I mean, I couldn't even pull these pants up to that.
But skinny
high.
people did it too, right? Belt in the belt
Oh
on the
yeah,
belly.
yeah. I just didn't notice it because it was the same.
Right.
But
Oh yeah, you watch like these like old Humphrey Bogart movies. You can only see like 3 buttons of his shirt, and he's got the pants pulled up. It's like a men's
Laurel-
dress shirt with like
Laurel-
only, it was like a little halter top or
what's,
something.
what's your memory image of Laurel and Hardy?
Mm-hmm.
Just wearing the little what do you call them?
Suspenders.
Suspenders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was the thing.
Yeah, you couldn't trust the belt to stay up that high.
I mean, it seems like
Well,
those
the belt will slip on it. I know all
those
about
pants
that.
had to be made differently, right?
Yeah.
With a lot more fabric between the waistline
yeah,
and the
it's called
crotch.
bigger. They bulged out like that.
Looked like a tulip when I went up and gave. Hey, but just I mean a
We
big
should bring that back. We should bring that fashion back.
Well,
If we're gonna be
I do
trendsetters.
that if you hadn't noticed.
Oh, you do that now?
Yeah. Well, I like to, but
They keep falling down on you.
yeah.
Back down to the
well,
waist.
it is a problem because if they go back, if it slips below your belly,
All the way down.
then my pants will fall down. That's happened
It's
in
a whole
food.
thing.
That's happened 14 times in the Food Line parking lot.
Man, but just think of magicians back then. They had so much more advantages. All that they could hide everything way up tight, up high, and everything. Look at my hands. I'm getting some out of my pants. Hey, what was the zipper on your pants? You go to the urinal.
Right.
Yeah, you had to unzip like 18 inches of zipper to get your dick out.
That's where the idea, and that's where the suspenders came in.
Right.
You just dropped them all down there.
Suspenders.
Give me a couple of minutes. I gotta get this zipper up. Sparks flying off of it. I set my shirt on fire. Ah!
Those were the days.
Yeah. Yeah, gypsies would hide a kid in there.
They used to have 3 or 4 back there in the back.
A man will come in and say he needs to use the bathroom. Then his zipper will come down and kids will come running out.
All right, let's do a blah blah segment before the bird.
All right.
So,
Oh,
you want to?
he needs to know.
Right. You want to text him, or you can whisper it.
Road Runner.
Oh wow, we're going outside of Virginia. All right. So, say when.
When?
For a long time, the Tonga Islands had a banana-shaped stamp.
Wow.
Stamps. I collected stamps as a kid for a while. Anybody else collect stamps?
Yeah, that was one of the penalties when you got caught with those drugs there in the 5th grade. I remember that. I said, yes, sir, we will get him into stamp collection.
That was their recommendation.
Yeah, that's what.
You're a
Well,
lot of stamps.
we came up with that. I'm glad to see it had a lot of good effects on him. It turned out all right.
Talking about, I did read today another interesting fact about bananas. Most of England's bananas come from the Antarctica. There's like this huge greenhouse up there, and it's cheaper to grow the bananas there and ship them to Europe than it is from South America or whatever.
So their bananas come from greenhouses in Antarctica?
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Wait a minute. Who was doing that?
So most of Europe,
Europe's?
their bananas come from far up north. They have like these huge. I
Oh,
forget
that
how-
would be the Arctic.
Yeah, the Arctic, I guess. So if the
Okay,
big
the Antarctic is at the South Pole.
okay. Yeah, they want to get as far away as they
There are a
can.
lot of people that watch this that are geographically succinct in the way they think, and they wouldn't have liked the
Okay,
way I had
I'm
let you-
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
you
had
can't
to
just let
call
that
you.
get-
Yeah, you
I had to
can't.
call
People
you
are
on it.
standing on their heads watching the
People
show
are-
right now just to make sense of the world.
That's it.
So yeah, from the
Good
Arctic.
Lord, you know where I just went with that?
No.
A Bobby Knight quote. I was walking at the door, and he died.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And they had a whole little a documentary of things, and his last one was one time he was talking to the crowd as he left. As for my critics, should I say it?
I guess so.
He said, for my critics, I want to be buried head down, upside down, so they can kiss my ass. And that's what I walked out the door hearing that, and that was what he's known for a lot of things. I
Right,
don't want to
right.
get into that, but that was just sad. That's what I heard, and it's really sadder that I told y'all just
No,
now. I'm sorry.
that's fine.
I apologize. That was terrible. I just shared a bad memory, and so.
Do you remember Walter Davis? He passed away today too. Remember the UNC basketball player?
I
He
do.
passed
He was
away.
a great basketball player. Yep.
So, do either of y'all collect stamps?
My grandfather had a big stamp collection, but When I did my
And
magazine,
who inherited that?
probably the dump.
Oh no.
No, but when I was doing my bold print, sometimes you'd look at everything you got, because a lot of times the stamps would never be canceled, and so you would like very carefully peel the stamp off and glue it and be able to use it again. I spent
All right.
many hours.
They weren't marked.
Right. So
Oh. Jeez. It wasn't
then-
that long ago.
then also the old trick where you would put the person you were mailing it to in the return address, and you put your address, and you wouldn't put a stamp on it, so they would say, "Oh, there's no stamp on it." They would send it. They would think they would send it back, and it would go
send
to the
it
people.
back. That's clever.
You had to know how to fight the law back then. It was almost like magic to distract them. Where's it supposed to go? Oh, take it right where I want it to go.
I used to collect a lot of things when I was a kid. I collected stamps. I collected matchbooks. That was a fun one. Matchbooks. Used to be everywhere had a matchbook.
Oh yeah.
No matter what it was. Restaurants, hotels, everywhere.
Where do you still have those?
I don't have the matchbooks.
I
But
used
boy, it's so fun when you collect something.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so fun for everybody. Like your friends and family know what to get you for Christmas. Like it's and you have assignments for. Oh, you're going to Vegas? Get me some matchbooks.
Right.
You're wherever you're going. Everyone becomes little soldiers for you out there, like helping you do your thing. Bottle caps. I collected bottle caps.
Wow.
Stamps, matchbooks, bottle caps. This is just the beginning of my collectors.
When I was like probably in my 30s, I collected business cards. I had
Business cards?
No idea why, but then I found out there was some boy, some sick kid, who was trying to get the world's biggest collection of business cards.
Wow.
And you could mail them to him. And I was pretty addicted to it. The same thing you said, like you go somewhere, you just automatically look for them. So once I mailed them all to him, it was just like it was gone.
Oh, you mailed them all to that kid?
Yeah.
Really?
Because I was like, what am I going to do with them?
Where was the kid?
I can't remember. Somebody had told me about this kid. He was trying to get in the Guinness Book of World Record by having the most business cards. He had like cancer, something really.
So you
sad.
gave up your whole collection for this kid?
But then it was like once I got rid of them, it was like I didn't really have that urge. It was like it was just. You know how like collecting becomes
If
builds.
you start
it's more
out,
addictive.
the more you get, the more
Right.
addictive it's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, and if you lose them all at once, you might not ever do it again.
Right. Yeah, because the fun is going
So
back.
when you think about your business card collection, what's the first one individually that comes to your mind?
Probably the one my friend made, it was mine, the ones that my friend made for me.
No, your own.
Yeah.
So what have you collected?
I was thinking I definitely collected baseball cards. Mm-hmm. And I had a good collection of them. And I collected baseball bats.
Baseball bats?
What?
Yeah, but they were functional. But I liked, after I broke them, I would still, if I had a bat that I really liked, got a lot of hits with, and had a relationship with, even when I broke it, if it broke right, where I could just keep it in the closet, So I think I collected bats for a while.
How much did a good baseball bat cost back in the day?
$15. Nick's the Sportsman,
Right.
Wow.
down there on the corner.
Right.
We go down there and buy a baseball bat, or once in a while you'd buy a glove. That would be exciting. A new glove. Whew.
Do people use wood bats still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not as much, and they're more expensive, but just like anything else, you still get them. I collected 45 records.
45 records.
Well,
Yeah.
had a good record collection.
That was
But
one
you
that
know,
started
both-
in your childhood. I guess that started, baseball cards as well, started in your childhood.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
Came into your adult life.
Yeah, I started younger than most with the records because it wasn't like coming of age. What I was doing was listening to my sisters. My sister Vicky is 3 years older. So she was listening. So in 1955, I was only 8 years old. but I was listening to her music, so I was, collecting the sound in my life
Right.
from 8 on instead of most kids, are usually 10 or 11 before they start listening to pop. And it was all new. It was like the new thing. The At the Hop. Those are the At the Hop, Danny and the Juniors. I had that 45, and we were playing At the Hop all the time. That was.
Now,
You got it.
Now,
Take it.
Do you think there's a? I mean, I know there's a difference. I kind of go the word. What's the difference between collecting, like I'm just music? What's the difference between collecting stuff you pay for and stuff you just find, like business cards and bottle caps? Like business cards never cost me anything. Like to be a serious record collector, like when you're buying records, that costs you a little bit of money. But you can get business cards, bottle caps, matches.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just depends on not what you're collecting, but how you're viewing your collecting.
Right.
Like when I was collecting 45s, it wasn't until 20 years later that Bill Duke and I started looking around as a collector, going to yard sales and stuff. But when I was young, I wasn't collecting.
Right.
I was getting my music shit together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's several different.
Well, maybe like
Things are
records, stuff you pay for has an actual purpose. Well, I guess baseball cards have no purpose, but like the business cards, matchbooks, they don't have no purpose. Like if you collect music, you can play them, books, whatever. Like one of the guys I work with collects baseball. I mean, every week he comes in. I bought this.
Oh yeah, it's an investment too. Well, that's why I got out of it, because it was in the '90s, the early '90s, where the big money came in.
Yeah, they got to be a
And
whole thing there.
they bought 3 different companies, and they were all competing, and it got to be a money game. And it was just another way that the money ruined it.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped collecting back then. So most of my stuff is even before all that.
There's so many ways, or at least quite a few different ways to collect, for sure. Like there's you can have the whole ethos of this is like a sign of everywhere I've been.
Right.
Like these are personal memories. I get a matchbook from everywhere I've been.
Right.
But then at a certain point you're like, wait a minute, I have this matchbook collection. And then you find out like, oh, someone will give you $1,000 for that one matchbook. You're like, what? And now things have changed.
Right.
So you're like, this is worth $1,000.
Right.
And
That's exactly what happened to baseball cards.
Exactly right.
I was making a poem or a joke the other day in my journal about, I wish I hadn't put those 5 Mickey Mantle rookies on my tire bike. That was
Right.
Remember that? You clip it to the spokes and you go around.
Mickey
Sounded like a
Mantles.
motorcycle.
It sounds just like a motorcycle.
Oh God!
Could have sent your kids to college.
It sounds like a couple $100,000.
That's right.
Exactly.
Well, one of the weird, and I used to collect this. Me and my ex-wife did. You'd go like wherever you go to Nashville or something. You'd see this machine. Put a penny in here and put $5 in. We'll press this button. It'll stamp Nashville.
It
on the
squishes the penny and prints something into
so
it. Right,
I found like a bunch of those like a couple months ago. I was like, what do I do with this stupid stuff? I got a penny that says Nashville on it that I paid like $2 or $3. That pull the handle down and press it on.
That's a good thing to collect, though.
Something like that can have a memory attached to
Yeah.
it. If it, stays there.
Right.
I found some of those I don't really remember when I got it.
Right.
But it's like, oh, that's cool, I went there.
I must have been here at some point in my life.
I inherited my granddad's pocket knife collection. But I was always sort of, I don't know what that collector spirit is, but I definitely always had it in me. And whenever I would see anybody's collection of anything, I was completely fascinated by it. Like, oh my goodness!
Now
But
maybe
his little pocket knife collection was something I was always fascinated by as a kid. And I remember it was like a whole thing. He was like, when you turn 13, you can pick one of these.
Oh, wow.
So I had a few years there just to look at them whenever I visited and try to figure out which one I wanted when my time came or whatever. It was so good.
Maybe it's just because I'm a guy, but I've got hundreds of friends. You go to their house, guy friends. Look at my collection of, whiskey bottles or, old football helmets. I've never had a woman say, "Look at my collection." Like women, like they don't collect shit,
Well,
or maybe they
dolls.
just don't want to show it to me. But
Definitely Nana collected stuff.
Oh, Nana was a collector. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Spoons, thimbles, these are classic archetypal.
but like young ladies still collect that.
Well, I don't know if young boys collect anything. Things are
video
We live in
games.
different. We live in a different time. I don't know. I feel like we could drill down there, but I'm not exactly sure we could. There's something fascinating there. I don't think kids
I know.
today collect stuff
We'll
like.
have to do a special edition Jabber Jawn just on this subject.
Right, right. We might have to do some research.
Kind of modern parent.
Well, it's also, I bet you if you went to any restaurant in Stanton now, nobody would have a matchbook with their name on it.
Right.
If you just said, "Hey, I need some matches with your name on it," like, I mean, you can use my lighter if you want, but we're not gonna make matches for you.
Heather says, "Kyle, please help me move my collections. Then you'll never say that again."
Hey, what did she collect? Or
What do you collect,
what do you
Heather?
collect?
Beans, another lady. I collect vinyl and tiny things. Just tuning in. Hope I didn't miss the bird. Nope. Still coming up. My dad is a geologist. He collects small stacks of rocks from various places and rebuilds them in his yard. I made squish pennies into magnets for the fridge with magnet
that's a good
tape.
idea.
That is a good idea. And her collections are books, records, and rocks. All heavy things. It is true that, like, if you look at that little list, books, records, and rocks, which one of these things is doing its own thing? Tell me. Because books and records, both,
Right.
like you say, you consume them.
Right.
That's a whole.
Right.
Whereas rocks is a different category of.
Right.
It like the difference is sort of interesting or whatever, because the book collection is just what happens if you're a reader.
Right.
But then at a certain point, like you might cross over into becoming a collector. And that's the moment that's fascinating me a little bit. Like,
And then somebody gives you a book about rocks, and all of a sudden you're a rock collector. It's like, why did they give me this stupid book about rocks? Now I'm looking for rocks.
somebody might think that I'm a guitar collector if they look around the room, but I'm not. I just play guitar.
But I never thought about that. How many collections people have that are worth basically nothing? I mean, the rocks might be worth something. My business cards, I mean, if they had burned up in a fire, I wouldn't have cared about it. But if my books burned up, I would be.
You probably have collected the most worthless thing ever. I mean, I find it hard to believe someone's not going to be interested in like a 1940s matchbook. At some level,
yeah.
it's on some day, but a 1940s business
Yeah,
card,
business
I'm
cards.
not sure.
Do like bars and restaurants still have where you put your business card in? They draw once a month or something. You get a free meal. Remember when they used to do that? Do they still have that? Maid should have that. You get like a $25 discount on it.
I'll tell you one of my favorite collections I've ever seen. I think I'm allowed to say it out loud. Dwayne Knowles's Stanton collection. He has a whole garage full of Stanton, anything Stanton.
Oh wow!
It's beautiful.
It's so wonderful. I just
Like
love everything
things
about
from
that.
Stanton, or things that say Stanton on them, like milk bottles and stuff like that.
I mean, like, if he really knew it was particular to Stanton, then it wouldn't necessarily have to say Stanton on it.
Right.
But and I have a couple of ashtrays here that have from old Stanton businesses, just so
Right.
they have a special place in if I was I completely love everything. I if he hadn't already done it, I probably would have considered it incumbent upon myself to be that guy, because I just love everything about all that kind of stuff. I understand it so deeply, and love any old Stanton stuff. But I just know, like, he's out there at 7 a.m. at yard sales, just looking for anything Stanton.
Well, I saw the public library is looking for people to bring their collections in. They're looking for things to put in their display case. You should take your your matchbooks up there.
Those are long gone. I don't have any of my. One of the things that a sad moment in my life is I went away to college, and I came back home from college, and a lot of the things I collected were no longer in the house. The
Gypsy's got them.
the saddest one was I had a great collection of unopened cans of soda and beer that were all special issue. Like, remember, like when Coca-Cola did college football, I had like a Tar Heels Coca-Cola. I had Billy beer. Billy beer. Anybody know what reference that is?
Jimmy Carter's brother.
Billy, Jimmy Carter's brother came out with beer. Jimmy was winning the presidency. Billy had other plans. Like, all right, well, I'll become a little celebrity in my own right. But I had this great collection and they were all unopened. Probably would be worth something today. But when I left that house, they quickly got rid of all signs of my previous existence.
They had a party. Look, we got all this free beer and soda down here. Let's have a party.
I don't know if I ever asked them point blank where that stuff wound up, but probably in the landfill or something. All right.
Well, we got a man here that collects birds. Let's hear
we should
it.
probably get to the bird before I start crying, or my can collection.
As we're going to birds, I asked my mom and my sister if they knew who Woody Woodpecker was, and of course they both knew. And I said, "Tell me one thing about it, one episode," and they were just like us. They had no memory of where he was.
You know, it's sort of like your card trick. Like, we're fascinated by that because we're focused on Woody.
Right.
But if I was to ask you a Porky Pig plot, you wouldn't be able to give me that either. Like, we could probably start listing cartoon characters and realize we have no clue about any of these people. Who was Pluto again? Was Pluto Goofy's dog? I don't know.
Well, you never knew at the time. Goofy,
even when we're watching
Goofy and
Woody
Pluto
Woodpecker.
were way before their time.
Right.
They were breaking new ground even then.
Right.
You couldn't figure them out for nothing.
Yeah, even when you're watching the stuff, you're just like, I have no idea.
The only thing that was true across the board was stupid. You got the opinion quickly that they were kind of stupid.
Mm-hmm. all of them.
Well, Goofy especially
Right.
was, he was Goofy.
So how does that? Pluto was Mickey's dog, right?
I don't know.
I think it was, yeah.
Mice don't have dogs.
Yeah.
But also, you told me last week you're not going to make judgments anymore, so you shouldn't call Pluto stupid.
He said he was not going to make judgments anymore.
I'm not
Snap
talking
judgments.
about me feeling that way. I always had an opinion about other people.
Right.
So there's a lot of difference there. I don't think Goofy was stupid. I thought he was simple. And,
That's a simple
as a
dog.
human being who is getting simpler every day, I empathize with what he's doing. I like it. I'm a big fan of simplified.
I finally understand Pluto. This makes
To
sense.
be a
now.
simple kind of man.
Man,
It was like, that was one of my
that's Leonard
favorite.
Skinner, isn't it?
Simple man.
I had to be on hold yesterday, and it was like a computerized orchestra version of some Leonard Skinner song. I was like, when did they start putting this?
Like elevator music.
Yeah, I was on hold, and I was like, what in the
gosh.
world?
Isn't that sad?
I just realized we've passed time pretty quickly here. The clock's ticking on your bird.
All right.
All right.
We better
The
get
bird
to it.
is the roadrunner.
Roadrunner,
Which is luckily very quick.
And
which is not a Virginia bird. So we are now completely abandoning
I
all.
did hear today that the latest report is that they are moving east.
Oh.
They have been seen in Missouri.
Wow. So this
if-
might be a
I
prophetic.
think they're coming our way. Evidently, what they're doing is successful on the interstates of the world. I don't know.
I remember, just before you go in there, I'll just have to say, like, I remember, and I love animals that are distinctive to regions. And then, like, the first time I saw an armadillo, I knew I was in Texas. Like, I moved to Texas, and, you know, there's just something profound about
Right.
your first time seeing an animal that is native to the place you're in now. That, you know, armadillo in Texas is a great example, but the roadrunner in New Mexico, when I moved to New Mexico, and it was so funny to me because I grew up watching the Roadrunner cartoon, back to the cartoons, and didn't know they really existed in real life. I thought it was just a cartoon till I saw one in New Mexico, and I was like, holy moly, that is a freaking Roadrunner. They are real. Like, and all the visions of Wile E. Coyote and the canyons and Roadrunner falling off the, it was like in the Grand Canyon. They all took place in the desert, and it all just came home for me in that one moment of seeing a Roadrunner running upright just along the highway. I was like, oh, there it is. I'll never forget that moment. So, sorry.
No, that's perfect. That's exactly. I think a lot of people, anybody that goes into the area like that, has a. I remember seeing the first one run across the road, and that's a road runner. My God, these people know how to name a bird. That was my first
Now,
thought.
No tufted titmouses over here.
How tall
No
is it?
titmice
How
in
tall
this
is it?
country. What?
So it's a pretty tall bird running
Yeah, they're
around?
like a rooster. They look like a big rooster, a skinny rooster. And they do have the little crested head, and they have a long tail, and they're a big bird. They're stocky, well, except that they are thin.
Skinny.
They're streamlined. They're very fast. And where they live in that chaparral country, they're also
What is that
called
word?
they're also called chaparral cocks, by the way. Yeah,
What's that word? I've never heard that word. Chaparral.
chaparral. It's a Mexican word. I guess a Spanish word for a type of lowlands that New Mexico is a lot of chaparral where it's certain types of trees that live there. I don't know all the names, but
Chaperral. Or
Chaparral, chaparral. That's I remember that from what is it?
We got actual footage of a roadrunner
Yeah,
apparently being harassed by a coyote.
yeah.
This is actual National Geographic footage.
And it is true that coyotes will catch and eat rodent.
Oh,
Will try. That's one of the predators,
Oh, interesting.
along with hawks and eagles and falcons and birds of prey, owls.
Oh, wow, look at it.
But
So from the pictures, it's sort of a dark brownish gray or something?
yeah, it's a brownish, little red mixed in.
Oh, look, that one looks just like the cartoon.
Look at that. Yeah. And here's an interesting, they're in the cuckoo family.
Ah. What's the cuckoo family?
Well, I didn't even know we had cuckoos around here till you hang around the rivers. Lex, can you find the voice of a yellow-billed cuckoo? But if you live along a river, you hear the sound of the cuckoo. So they stay up in the tops of the trees, and they feed on the insects and things up there. But you never see them hardly. But they're around in the summertime. I think I don't know if they're migrating or if they do build nests. I think there's some nests here.
But that's more of a smaller bird.
No, they're a big bird,
Oh, okay.
and they're real.
God, it scared me.
That's a cuckoo?
That's a yellow-billed cuckoo.
That's
Yellow-billed
Lex,
cuckoo.
And you'll hear that along the river if you're. Yep. Good
Gosh.
job, Lex. Thank you.
I wouldn't think that was a bird if I heard
No,
it.
it's really distinctive and very different. And I found out, it took me a while to figure out what it was, but that's what it is. So you know the cuckoo, but they're just in the same family, but obviously the roadrunner has adapted to living out in the southwestern part of our country, and they are indigenous to that whole area of New Mexico and parts of Utah, Colorado, and West Texas, and yeah. So they feed on mostly they're just like us. They're omnivores that will whatever's available they'll turn into a fast food. They eat lizards, little lizards, and they see a lot of things along the road, and that's one reason. They do hang out. There's more game for them to hunt along a road going through a desert than out in the desert itself, because it's so spread out there. But along the road, things will get hit that are trying to cross, and then other things will come to eat them, and then there's a whole food chain involved with the road. So that's why you see them hanging around the road more than
So
you would.
interesting. So they sort of got dibs.
Yeah.
Other birds probably came along like, that's a good
Yeah.
idea, but Roadrunners already controlled the territory.
Right. And the other thing is a lot of the reptiles, the lizards, will go down the highway and to sun themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So the roadrunner hunts the roadways to grab those lizards. And a lot of pictures you see, they have a lizard in their mouth. They eat the lizard.
So they should be called the chaparral vulture. They're just hanging out by the roads eating dead stuff.
Well, no, they're good at catching stuff too, obviously.
No, do they fly or they're all on the ground?
They can fly, but they don't usually choose to. And that's chaparral. There's such low-lying brush that makes it hard to get up and get flying. So it's easier just to run under the tree than it is to try to fly over them. So they just have adapted to being on the ground, and they can outrun most everything out there.
They're super quick.
Yeah. Now, as for the cartoon character, I don't think his personality has anything to do with the real ones. But
Now, what kind of nests do they have? Or they just stay like at a roadside motel? Or something?
well, I did read that they do have a very good marriage arrangement. They marry for life,
Oh, wow.
and they both raise the kids, and they just built a little nest in one of those low-lying trees. They'll just build a little wooden platform, twigs and things, and lay their eggs and protect them in those little chaparral trees.
So do they have kids every year?
Yeah,
That's sort
probably
of a thing.
probably a seasonal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have seasons in the desert.
How long do
too.
they live?
I think I read that the oldest one they recorded was 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
Now, are
And
they
about 5, they start getting gray feathers.
Right.
now are they built? Is there anything different about their makeup or their body for lack of water? Are they do they go?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a great question. One of the things I read was that they have a special gland right here, lacrimal, this gland. It's enlarged, and it secretes salt water.
Wow.
So it's a way of alleviating the too much salt in the without having enough water,
Right.
dehydration.
Right.
So
Do they make their own water?
Wait, so what?
they get a lot of their water from the things they eat,
Right.
like the lizards and things. So they
Right.
depend on their fluids. So they eat them whole to get the
Right.
fluids.
Wow.
But
What does the gland do?
It's basically a way of getting rid of the excess salt. Because what makes it poisonous is to get too much salt in the water.
our tears are salty, right?
Yes, yes. It's just an extension of that. So that's one of their adaptations for living out in the desert where they don't have access to fresh water.
Wow.
In other words, they could drink a little bit of salt water. We drink salt water. You can see what, it's like poison to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that whole thing. We don't have that gland doing that
We'd have to cry
a lot.
a lot.
Probably not enough. That's where that song "Cry Me a River" came from.
Well, the song I just thought of was another Dwayne Knowles reference. He has a great song called "The More You Cry, the Less You Pee." Great song. It's one of the best songs of all
I
time.
love it.
I feel like going down a whole side chain here of wondering what the purpose of tears is, but we can put a bookmark in that. Come back.
Well, it's a cleansing of the eye mechanism, for one thing.
Yeah. So why? That's a good question. Why, when you cry, do you does your eyes get all worked out?
It's just a nervous attachment in your brain. It happens to be tied in somehow for some reason. As to why that would happen to be a successful organism, I have no idea.
It is fascinating.
There are lots of times where crying gets in the way of the action you need to take.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't see a survival value in crying.
Right.
Well, you might listen, they might feel sorry for you and let you go.
That's true.
It seems like just as a poetic thing, it seems like a cleansing, get the sadness out of your body,
That's a good point. Maybe so.
I mean, definitely the catharsis of crying is pretty obvious to anyone that's ever cried, but the use of the tears is still evolutionarily mystifying. Mike. But sorry, I digress. Back to the Roadrunner.
Well, let's see. What else do I'm just hit or miss on him.
How did you pick
Because
the
I
bird?
picked him last. Well, we were talking cartoons and Woody Woodpecker,
right.
and it was like last week's bird. I didn't do a new bird. That's why my knowledge is a week old.
Right. You're making stuff up at this point.
Well, that's usually true.
So tune in next week for Tweety Bird.
Yeah, Tweety birds.
Yeah. I get bored in earth science, so I used to teach that, and nobody was listening anyway, so I'd like to do a whole 20-minute lecture on a planet that didn't exist. There was always one or two that would catch me, and
Hey, wait a second.
they'd get mad at me for a little while.
Is everybody taking notes? You're gonna be...
Don't worry, this won't be on the quiz.
It will be on the quiz. It's number 7.5.
You might not see it on the SATs, but it'll be on this test.
It's college level.
Well, we
What
made
you
it
gonna
to
do?
the end. Is there any Roadrunner facts that we
I don't know.
missed there?
I don't know. Anybody has any questions, they can call the hotline.
It's good to see you two.
It's good to see you, Jenna. A week away.
And when I put up the new date for today's show or whatever, I had to take down October. My birthday was still up there.
Oh, man.
So we must have done at least one show with the wrong date up there. It's still my birthday. But it's officially November now. All that October stuff is behind us.
You're crying November tears now.
Tears. It's gotta... Still thinking of the biological evolutionary necessity for tears. Like definitely cleaning the eyes. It makes sense. But how it became associated with sadness
Right.
and crying,
I was
Because
wondering.
then you would just, if it's to clean the eyes out, then you like there's a biological necessity for you to get sad enough to cry from time to time.
Now,
Just to keep your eyes
is
clean.
crying a cultural thing, or is that just all people all over the world cry, or is that a thing like we know expresses
I
sadness?
think a lot of cultures don't allow crying, and people learn not to cry. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about that, but I think in a lot of cultures, crying
Babies
is,
come out
is a
crying
sign of,
there, don't they?
it's a sign of weakness in most cultures, I think. Mm-hmm. So you can cry, but you're weak if you do.
There's a particular struggle for the history of men. They particularly
No crying
were
in baseball.
discouraged from crying because it wasn't supposed to be a masculine trait. It was quite a relief after thousands of years for men to be allowed to finally freaking cry a little bit and hug and all the things they weren't supposed to do for thousands of years.
That's why we collected shit.
That's exactly right. I'm like a cartoon, I'm drawn to where I go. These clouds I'm below look like a painting. Sometimes I wonder, slow-mo, like a child being flattened by a fat man fainting. May sound silly, but it's true. Actually, most things do. Lord, I prayed to you. Now here I am, like a cartoon, for better or worse, for butter and bread. I'm asking, it's written in the bubble, floating above my head. Sometimes it's only ampersands and exclamation. May sound silly, but it's true. Actually, most things do. Lord, I prayed to you. Now here I am, like a cartoon. I'm like a cartoon, dodging falling safes. I heal right away, that's why they thank me. It's all just howling at the moon at the end of the day, surrounded by things that say Acme. May sound silly, but it's true. Actually, most things do. Lord, I prayed to you. Now here I am, like a cartoon.
Wow. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
That was so cool.
We'll see you next time. Jabber Jawn
I love
signing
you.
off. We
Alright.
love you.
I love
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Lex.
Thanks for
Thank you,
coming
everybody.
Roadrunner, Roadrunner.
Bye.
Wow.
Oh man.
That was fun.
That was perfect. That song was you nailed it.
I could have. There's a good gypsy jazz version of that song, but I decided.
Well, I was going to ask you if there was any of that in there. You weren't ready to do that?
I just, yeah. Because it's actually like, because those chords are sort of gypsy jazz in nature.